G'day guys, it's Pete on behalf of the Garage Network. Just thought I'd bring you a very quick video on third-party booking platforms, essentially what they are, how they work, and I was going to just bring you just a very quick working on how their commission rates can potentially affect your bottom line. So thought I'd do a screen share and a little bit of a live sort of workings, hopefully give you a bit of an insight as to how their commission rates can potentially affect your bottom line. Now, I suppose what we need to do is just discuss what a third-party booking platform actually is. Now, quite simply, it's a lead generation platform. So you sign up to this platform, they generate leads on your behalf, and when these leads then become converted into sales, they essentially clip the ticket for a percentage of your sales. So what I'll do, let me do a bit of a screen share, and I will show you guys a little bit of a working as to how the commission rate can affect you. So, so quite simply, the way third-party booking platform actually works is they clip the ticket for your total invoice value. And in general, and I'm being quite general with this, they can take around about 18%. Okay, so what we're going to do, quite simply, the example we're going to use is a very simple one. We're just going to say that we've got a total invoice of $1,100 that we're billing the customer, and that's made up of $1,000 plus our GST, which is $100. So it equals $1,100. And we're going to call this our TIV. So that's our total invoice value. Okay. So now experience sort of tells me that of our TIV, roughly a third, I'm just going to write here roughly, because I'm being quite general, roughly a third of our TIV is cost of sales, or parts. And parts is another word for cost of sales. So I'm sort of assuming on that $1,100, I'm assuming I'm going to have around about $300 plus the GST worth of parts in that. So we'll call it $330. So it brings my GP, or gross profit, quite simply. We have $1,100 in our TIV, $330 in parts, which leaves us with $770. Now, that's not entirely true. That's not really our GP. We've got to take the GST away now. Quite simply, the GST is money collected as to money spent. So we've collected $100 from the customer. We've paid out $30 in invoices. So we're still holding $70 of the government's money. So we've still got to give the government $70. So really that brings our GP to $700. All right, and that's quite simply our gross profit on that job. Now, what we're going to do from here is now we're going to start to apply this, this 18%, so we can really show you guys how this affects your bottom line. So, you know, you might be thinking, okay, well, I made $700 on the job. Well, it's not entirely true, because you've got to take your commission of 18% away. Now, what we need to understand is they're not taking the 18% on your GP. What they're actually taking is the 18% on your TIV, or total invoice value. So if your invoice is $1,100 and that they're taking 18%, they're taking $198 away from your GP. So let's work this out. So if our GP, so let's say a third-party booking platform, they take 18% of my $1,100. It's $198. So if my GP was 700, but they've taken 198 away, then I'm only left with $502. So they're actually not taking away, well, they actually are taking away 18%, but what it's actually costing me, the difference between that and that is not 18%, it's actually 28%. So while I'm thinking that they're only taking 18, they're actually, my loss is actually 28%. Now, you've got to remember, that's my loss on my GP or gross profit. That's not my loss on my net profit. So my net profit is my GP, which is my gross profit, less my fixed expenses. So now we can actually start to see that it's actually going to cost us a lot more than that 18%. It's actually going to affect our bottom line quite a bit. So I'm going to run through the next step to this. So I think it's important that we sort of understand where we sit now. Our value of $1,100 job, let's say we made that up of 4 hours in labor. All right, so what I want to do now is I want to start to apply some fixed costs to this, so then we can sort of see really how much it's actually going to affect us. Now, I mean, this exercise can come a little bit later, but let's just say, for the sake of the exercise, that it costs me $65 per hour to run this job. Right? So, or run the shop at $65 an hour. So at 4 hours, we're looking at $260. So I've got my GP of $700 minus my $198 in commission minus my $260 that it's cost me to run that particular job. So I'm left with $242. So now you can actually see how it's starting to really, really affect our bottom line. So if I didn't have to pay a commission, I would be left with my GP minus my fixed expenses. And let's call this fixed expenses. Now we're talking rent, phone bill, electricity, wages. So you can start to see how it's starting to cost us $65 an hour to keep this shop running. So we've got our GP minus our fixed expenses. So this should have cost us, well, we should be making $440. Instead of making $440, we're now making $242. So now you can actually see this correlation. So we're not losing 18%, that's actually 45%. So while we think that it's going to cost us 18% on the job, we're actually losing 45% of our net profit on the job. So this is quite sort of concerning, because what they're doing is they're actually taking the cut on this $1,100. They're not taking the cut on your GP or on your net profit. They're taking the cut on the total amount. So by the time you start diluting it to GP and then diluting it to net profit, you're left with quite a deal less than what you thought you might have been. So look, I'm not here to sort of bag out third-party booking platforms. What I am here to do is give you guys a very real-time example of how this could potentially affect your bottom line. Now, there's probably pluses of having a third-party booking platform. There's probably some negatives as well. But I just thought I'd give you this example and run you through it, just so it sort of makes sense in your mind as to how it could potentially affect your bottom line. Now, you might be happy with the way it affects your bottom line because you're generating sort of leads out of that and potentially customers, and that's everyone's prerogative. But I really hope this has sort of helped you guys. It's only one example, and it's a financial, looking at it from a financial sort of aspect. But I do hope that it's given you a bit of an insight into how it could potentially affect your bottom line. And yeah, I really hope it helps. And good luck moving forward, guys. Take care.
Don't forget to join our private Facebook page if you are an automotive technician, and also subscribe to our YouTube and our podcast channel. They are all called The Garage Network. Thanks guys, and see you next time.